Hello everybody, welcome to another Let's Play Planet Zoo. My name's Halcyon Chris, and this is episode 3, I think. Pretty sure it's episode 3 of Aquila Zoo. Or I should say Aquila Nature Park and Zoo and Botanical Gardens. Call it by its real name here. It's been a little while since we've had an episode, mainly in part due to there is now a Halcyon Chris Jr. in the world, and he has been taking up all of my time. Everybody said, "Oh, Chris, have a kid. You know, it's no problem. They sleep all day, and when they're not sleeping, they're just, they poop and they eat and they go back to sleep." No, that is a complete lie. At least for me, that is not true. He sleeps all through the night, which is incredible, but then he is awake almost the whole day. So yeah, it's been very, very difficult to find time in the day to not only play Planet Zoo, but also to find time to record this episode. According to Steam, I've only been able to put in 19 hours in the last 2 months on this game, but we got a lot done, and let me tell you, the wait is worth it. So here we are looking at the first part of the Botanical Gardens of Aquila Nature Park. So I'm going to zoom out so you can kind of see where it is. If you hear a bunch of squeaky noises and cooing noises, that is Halcyon Jr. He is in his bassinet sleeping next to me. So if you hear any sort of weird squeaks, that is him. That is not me. So he just made a really loud squeaky noise. But anyway, here we are in the zoo. You'll remember from the last episode we created the entranceway. Or no, the last episode we created the nature park. Golly, I don't even know where we are. You'll remember previously we created the entranceway, and now we've got that entranceway leading into the Botanical Gardens. So if I pop on down here, you can see we've got a nice, kind of sight line lining up. We've got the kind of these hot spring fed fountains. We've got our little fountain wall, and then we've got some more, I like to imagine some like hot spring pool here, and then our greenhouse and cafe with the Botanical Gardens surrounding that. Eventually we'll have pathways through here on the left side that have a whole lot more kind of gardens that you can walk through, so it won't just be the greenhouse. I'm kind of imagining not a whole lot on the left, just kind of enough to swing around, meet up with a path over here, and then like in here is the bulk of Botanical Gardens. Maybe we'll have like a little bit of a river walk, that sort of thing. But out here is going to be our zoo, and honestly, that's what I want to start on next. But I wanted to get an episode out just to kind of show you where we are and to reassure you guys that I had not fallen off the face of the earth and that the wait would only be 2 months and not 2 years for the next episode. Unlike our jump from Percy's Zoo to Aquila here. But anyway, let me give you guys a quick brief tour and kind of walk through what we're doing. So the entranceway here, this is our kind of more formal lawn, I imagine kind of maybe back in the day, people would come out here, they would have picnics, sit next to the hot spring, maybe go bathing or something. But times change and health concerns, legal concerns. It's not a picnic area anymore. Now it's a sculpture garden. So we have kind of all these little sculptures here and these little signs telling you kind of what they're all about. And then we've got them on both sides. And my thought is maybe these sculptures rotate, like they're only here for a couple years. And then the Botanical Garden and the Zoo Society, auctions them off. And then that kind of raises funds for the Botanical Gardens and Zoo. So I think that'd be kind of a neat thing. That's why there's like bare spots and not like full of sculptures like, oh yeah, this one's been auctioned off already. And we're waiting another artist to fill the installation here. So the next part that we come to is our cafe. And the cafe here, I originally wanted to do a restaurant, but I'm going to gripe at Frontier for a second, so I'm going to pop out. And if you play the game, you might be guessing what I'm about to gripe about. But if I put this down, this right here, this, why did they put that wall there? Like, why? Why can't I just have... I don't care if you put a floor down, honestly, but why? Why these walls? Like, it just really limits what I can do design-wise for a restaurant. Like, I really wish they hadn't done this. Like, this just doesn't make sense. Or at least make it so that it's toggleable. You know, like we've got, let me go over to guest facilities and drink stalls. So we've got these drink counters now, which is incredible. Like, it allows us so much more freedom to build. And then you give us a restaurant that's in this weird L-shaped hallway. Like, I just feel, I feel cheated. Like, why did you do that? That, take a step backwards, you know? Anyway, that said, we're using the counters. It's not done in here. I think if I get to finishing it, we'll finish this up maybe next episode. Again, with the Halcyon Jr. in the mix now, it's a little bit harder to do episodes and to record, so I don't know when or how or what we are going to be doing next episode. But anyway, yes, we have our little cafe in here with our neat little skylight. And then we have our main centerpiece for the episode, which is our greenhouse. And this, I'm actually pretty proud of this. Like, I think it's really, really kind of nice. I like the architectural style that I've chosen, which is kind of based on the Prairie School of Architecture, which, if you don't know that school, you will recognize the name Frank Lloyd Wright. So Frank Lloyd Wright was definitely a huge influencer of Prairie School of Architecture. The reason I picked this is that it's an architecture style that is really prevalent in the Midwest, especially in Kansas City, which is my hometown. So I kind of wanted to do something tying into the Midwest, tying into our architectural styles that we have out here. So we have the Prairie School influenced, which, let me explain what the Prairie School is. So it's basically an architectural style that came about in the 19th and 20th centuries. Again, mostly born out of the Midwest, hence the name Prairie School. Usually characterized by a lot of like flat lines, really kind of craftsman style architecture. Not a whole lot of ornamentation, you know, simple, modern, clean. And it also tries to integrate some more of the landscape into the architecture. The perfect example of this is probably Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. You know, that's probably the epiphany of the school. But what we have here is I want to believe, like, not, you know, stone that's sourced natively, timbers that are native, you know, all this kind of like heavy, chunky materials, you know, nice, big, sturdy materials, and then it's all fairly clean. You know, there's not a whole lot of extra detail kind of built in, not a lot of ornamentation, not a lot of pizzazz. And then that kind of also goes into the terraces here. You know, the cafe is built into the hill, you know, rather than just leveling the hill. We built into it. We adopted the hill into our gardens with these terraces. We placed, you know, the greenhouse at the top of the hill. We're utilizing the hot springs to, feed our pools here. And we've got a nice kind of overlook, to look at the mountains. And then right in here, I wanted the glass at the end here to be almost like cathedral-like, but minus it being stained glass where you can't see out. Instead, we've got, nice clear glass, but it's framed by these V's where we can go out and we can see the mountains. The stained glass, instead of it being stained glass, is clear glass so we can see the mountains, and it kind of emphasizes the landscape beyond the greenhouse, while still, enjoying the nature within. But there's also the kind of window to the nature without, and it's kind of seated that way. At least that's what I was going for. You guys can be the critics of that, whether or not it achieved that. But yeah, I kind of imagine this as like a nice little cozy place. I'm gonna drop a couple speakers in here to pipe some music in. I figure, like, people can walk in here, they can grab a pillow, they can sit down, they can read, bring their snack from the cafe, their little cup of coffee, cup of tea, cup of donut. What do we have in here? We've got coffee, donuts, and like cupcakes. I never noticed they put like little animal faces on these. The detail that Frontier puts into their shop stalls is really nice and refreshing. It's kind of fun to find all the little bits and pieces. But anyway, so that's where we've left off. I don't know what direction this is. Let me move the sun. So where's the sun setting? So it's over there. So I guess the western, or wait. Yeah, so I guess the western boundary of the park, I would say, is now pretty established. We've got all of our trees in here, almost all the way up to the water's edge. I have to do a little bit of terraforming, filling in here, but that won't be too bad. And then that should be the western boundary for the park. I would call that done then, and we're pretty boxed in, which is a good place to be. I do have to fill in a lot of this planted area here. I'm planning on making it kind of meadowy, lots of wildflowers, using a lot of the pieces parts from the conservation pack. So the thought is that, this is just kind of a big wildflower meadow, and maybe they burn it, once or twice a year or something, or every other year, and that'd be kind of a cool thing to, come out and see. In Kansas, we burn our fields fairly regularly. It's just kind of an annual tradition, and it's even become like a tourist event in some towns where you go out, you bring your rake, and you burn a field. You might be asking, why do you bring a rake? Because it's grass, so you rake the grass into the fire, and that kind of encourages the fire to continue down its path. Anyway, so I can imagine that being like a little festival or something. Like, you would come up here and you'd have people up here, you'd burn the fields, maybe you'd have like some art vendors or something out here, and they would make a big event of it or something. I don't know. But anyway, so that's where we are right now. Let's see, it's still got a ways to go. Not quite sure what direction the next episode is going to take. I'm leaning towards starting kind of our zoo entrance and maybe walking down an animal or two. But I do have some things to finish up in here as well. So it may be kind of a bit of both, where we finish this up and then, we start work over in the zoo. But I do want to start plopping down some animals other than the animals that we already have plopped down over here in our, what did we call this? Timber Ranch. Over in Timber Ranch over here. So yeah. We are still making progress. I promise you that I am still trying to play this game, but if you are a parent, you will know that it is very difficult to sometimes find the time. But either way, we're going to hop over into the time lapse now, and we will talk a little bit more about what we built over there. So stay put. Be back in just a second. Hey everybody, so here we are in the time lapse part of our episode here, and just to give you a quick passage of time, it has been, according to the save file, 15 days since I last recorded the first part of this episode. It is a real challenge now to get these episodes out with the little man here. I am still going to try. I'm definitely going to try very hard to get some episodes out. But anyway, here we are in the time lapse, and I'm going to explain kind of what we're doing here. So I had in our last episode, and you can kind of see it right here in this shot, built out a greenhouse and really did not like it. I was using the glass house construction set that we already have in the zoo, and I feel like that's just kind of how it's expected that you build a greenhouse in this game. So once I built it all out, had it all constructed, I was like, you know what? This is just kind of boring. You know, it's not anything spectacular, nothing unique to the zoo here. So instead, you know, we're building what we're building here. And after a whole bunch of searching and then looking at Google Images, decided to take some inspiration from Frank Lloyd Wright's Taliesin. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It is a building that he built out in Arizona. And it was meant to be his studio out there. And after looking at it, I was like, you know, there's a lot of glass. There's a lot of, you know, architectural elements that I really like and want to incorporate in our zoo, like using more natural, in my mind, locally sourced construction material. So I envisioned like this wood is from the forests nearby, or from like a lumberyard nearby. The rocks are maybe from a quarry nearby. And the only thing that would have come, you know, from afar is the glass and maybe this plaster or cement that we're using here for kind of an accent piece. But anyway, the supports here are directly lifted from the Taliesin building, you know, directly inspired from them. The roof structure was a little bit of a challenge to kind of figure out how I wanted to do it. I know I wanted something kind of like stair-stepped, you know, rather than just a single continuous glass block feature. And what I settled on was finally just kind of stair-stepping these glass panes that we have, and I think it has a nice little effect to it. It's not, you know, completely flat, but also not too crazy in the design. You know, I want to make sure that the building overall was simple, yet I don't know. I kind of want to say sophisticated because that's got a nice alliteration to it. But you know, kind of more of a following the Prairie School. You know, simple design, but very kind of modern, sleek looking. So the only real ornamentation we have is up here at the top, where we have our plaster roof section. I mean, the rest of it is just, you know, glass, stone, or wood. There's not really a whole lot of real complexity to it. And even, you know, to speak on the simplicity of this building, it's just one section copied and pasted and then mirrored all the way around. It was really just kind of finding the right balance between, you know, what I wanted it to look like, and then how to make that in the game. So the plaster roof definitely took me a little while to figure out, but definitely like the design that we have in the end, kind of this awning, just a little slight awning that we have over the large window here in the roof part. So So once everything was all lined up, we just copied and pasted like I said, and then we just took that and mirrored it. I did try to make the rocks more in line with what I would feel like colors that would be out here, more limestones, more granites. So just kind of tweak them a little bit to almost look a little bit more like the tundra rock that we have and the temperate rock that we have in game. So once we had our first wall, I punched out a few holes for some entryways, and then just kind of backtracked, but then went back, and I think we have 2 entrances up here in the top. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it's 2. Anyway, and then the final roof structure, again, just kind of using that plaster element, but this time leaving some skylights in there to bring in more light into the structure, and then also just kind of break up the monotony of the plaster roof if we left it all plaster. So now we're working on the large kind of cathedral / portrait window that we have out into looking at our mountain range across the river. I originally wanted to, I always wanted it to be a single pane of glass. So we're using a habitat barrier here, and then we're just kind of making it fit the structure of our building, and this way we have a nice like single continuous pane of glass. There's no seam or metalwork or any of that sort of thing in here that distracts from the overall look at the panorama here. So there's one giant pane of glass, and then we went and took these cross support beams and we brought them all the way up to the large central pane of glass here, just to kind of add a little bit of an accent to our cathedral window here, as I'm going to call it. Then just adding a little bit more detail work here to the roof, giving it a little bit more interest, making it look like it's got some supports rather than just, oh yeah, it's just, floating plaster out there. And again, adding to the simplicity of the building, just really a lot of copy paste here, and then a little bit of tweaking just to make it fit where it's supposed to, without a whole lot of gross clipping or anything like that happening. So again, it's really kind of a simple build, even though it looks fairly intricate. There's really just a few elements, and then they were all copied and pasted. The really hardest part about this build was the habitat glass here, because you can only put them in certain spots, and you don't have an XY axis to move them on, so you kind of just have to move by hand and be very, very gentle with the controls, so that you don't end up somewhere you don't want to be. So now we kind of jumped in, and I'm jumping through this time lapse pretty fast, mainly because, like I said, it's taken me 2 weeks to get to this point. So I just kind of want to talk about the foliage and our design choices here. So I wanted some of these some of these plants to look like they've been here like 100 years, kind of thing. Like this, was built in the 20s, and holy cow, this garden is old. Like there's some really old, flowers in here, some really old palms, that sort of thing. And I also wanted it to feel like really, really lush. I also picked the copper statues because I felt like that also kind of added a little bit of age to the greenhouse as well. Like I envisioned, like when they were first installed, they were bright, shiny copper, and now they've kind of doled down into that kind of greenish copper that we have in game here, which kind of also leads to the story that this is all very, very old and very well established gardens here. I definitely wanted a whole lot of tropicals because again, this is a greenhouse and we're out here in a part of the country that I envision gets a lot of snow or a lot of cooler temperatures where these tropicals would otherwise not survive. So like if you're coming here and you're a tourist, looking at this, this would be like a transport to like another world, especially if you're like in the 20s or 30s or 40s or something, before there's a whole lot of international travel. Then you're coming in here and it's like, wow, these are plants I've never seen, outside of like an educational textbook or something. And that's kind of the feel that I wanted. So just a whole mess of tropicals in here, and then just kind of fun blending of them, again making it look like it's really jam-packed with flowers and foliage for sure. I know, strictly speaking, some of these plants don't go together. Like some of them are technically like desert plants, and I'm mixing them in with like rainforest plants. But just kind of for the sake of variety and uniqueness, we mixed them all up. We're not adhering to any sort of strict guidelines saying that no, we can't have this, that, or the other thing. If it looks tropical, if it looks flowery, I'm gonna shove it in here, was basically my thought. So yeah, just dropping some more of the statues here. Kind of hid the dodo, the extinct bird. Kind of hid him in the woods. I also kind of put down some of these benches, and then I dropped some pillows on them because I think, kind of envision people going in there and then being able to like read a book or something, or enjoy your coffee and pastry that you got in the cafe below. Just kind of, we'd have some nice music in there playing, and just kind of a really peaceful, relaxing place that you can go to. Now, for outside, I wanted this to feel a little bit more wild. I wanted it to show off like what would be the native flowers and plants. So we used a lot of what was in the conservation pack to kind of fill these terraces here. And then I just went through and added a few small trees here and there. Things that I envisioned these trees would stay small and they would never get really too big. So these little manzanita bushes, I think I do actually leave those in there. I can't remember. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've looked at this, and my mind has been occupied elsewhere. So, so whatever trees we did put in here, I wanted them to stay small. Is the long and short of it, and it was definitely like an agonizing process to figure out which ones I wanted. And which ones I didn't. So yeah. For the courtyard area here, I originally had two ideas. The first idea was to make it into like a proper courtyard and I'm not going to show that here in the time lapse, but it was more along the lines of having like a paved courtyard. And I really didn't like how it looked. It just looked boring, right? So instead, we've got a grass courtyard here, and then what we do is we create another water feature, again kind of adding to the draw to this place that it is, full of hot springs, full of that sort of so here you see me dropping down these plaster blocks, and I do delete them here. But what we do end up with is instead another water feature. You can just see that. I mean, it just looks boring. Like I tried a number of things to spruce it up. So this was the first idea, was to put a fountain, and then I dropped a whole bunch of like planters to see if that would make it look any better. But no, the water feature is where it's at for sure. Plus, it also kind of ties in the entryway to our little plaza area over here. So yeah, just kind of cleaning up the pathwork here, making sure that it's all traversable. going through and cleaning up our entryway pathway here, making this a little bit more angled. So that looks a little cleaner. And yeah, just doing a lot of like back and forth checking to see what looks good and what doesn't. So here we are building our pool. Again, pretty easy once you just drop a habitat barrier and then you drop your pool. And then we just brought out our little plaster pieces here to edge it off. Then again, like our entryway one, just kind of made it nice and shallow. Copied the same colors as the entryway pool, so that they look the same. This kind of like greenish, dark color. Then we just went through and added some of this like textured wall that we have on the that entry facade wall. Just to kind of again add some more character to that wall that we have here that is housing our waterfall for our entryway. Then I added a few like little drain parts here to the pool, just to add a little bit extra detail. And then we went in and we added our fountains and our foliage. There's kind of a lot of lilies. I'm not really sure if these would survive in hot springs. I don't know. I mean, usually the only thing I see surviving in hot springs, at least when I go to like Hot Springs, Arkansas, is like a mossy looking mildewy film. So I really have no idea if these would actually live. And I figure like these cat tails here are planted in like little planters that are underwater. That's why I just did like little small groupings rather than try to throw them out as if they were actually planted in dirt or something. Remember, this is just concrete below. So I added our little mist, added our little jets, and that kind of rounds off our little pond area here. Just kind of making sure the jets are nice and lined up and symmetrical, and you know what, that's it. So thanks for watching, guys. I don't know when the next episode will come out, but when it does, you'll be the first to know if you hit the like and subscribe button. Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to say at the end of an episode, right? Or no, it's the notification bell. It's the notification bell that will get you notified immediately. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you had fun watching this. I certainly had fun building it. And like I said, I will get the next one out as soon as I can. So stay tuned. We are definitely still at work in this zoo. All right, thanks, guys.